Hi guys, I'm Tristan.
And I'm Elliot, and we're the duo behind Metascience. Today we're going to be showing you Susano's second ability, Wind Siphon. This is a cone attack that pulls enemies in the center towards you.
So, the damage for Wind Siphon is 60 base damage plus 15 per level, and scales with 25% of your power. The mana cost starts at 80, but decreases by 5 per level, which is a very uncommon trait in Gods. And this ability has a flat cooldown of 18 seconds.
Yep, so there's multiple reasons not to max this ability or not to really level it at all unless you have to. And I mean, it does decrease by 5 mana per level, but that's hardly any reason to ever level up an ability.
Right, so let's get into the hitbots. So, the hitbots to deal damage is a 35 unit distance and a 55 unit width, and the hitbots to pull a target is in the center, which is highlighted in blue, and has a 30 unit width. And like he was saying, the damage is so low that you should never be leveling it up until the very end, and you should only use it for pulling the target rather than dealing any sort of damage.
Yeah, it's a purely utility ability. I mean, clearly, I don't think anybody ever had the idea that, hey, I should level up this so I can do a little more damage. Never level up Wind Siphon.
Right.
But so into the really gritty, sciencey stuff of Susano's second ability. So here's going to be a few numbers that you guys are going to have to keep up with. The total cast time for Wind Siphon is 0.8 seconds. This is the time that you're animation locked and you cannot perform anything else after you cast Stormkata, right? So from the beginning of casting Stormkata to the end is 0.8 seconds. Now 0.5 seconds through this cast time is when the enemy actually gets pulled. For that 0.5 seconds, they can jump out of it, they can Aegis it, they can beads it, if they have a fast enough reaction time. But the pull is not immediate, it's not right at the beginning of the cast time. And this leaves the enemy under CC for 0.4 seconds. So like when you pull them, you see that they come flying towards you, right? That's 0.4 seconds that they're in the air and they can't perform any action. They're fully CC'd. So since Wind Siphon's cast time is 0.8 seconds and the enemy's under CC for 0.4 seconds, and they're not yet pulled until 0.5 seconds into the cast time, that means there's a total of 0.9 seconds from the time they're pulled, plus the time that they're vulnerable. So you subtract that by 8 and you end up with 0.1 second that the enemy is completely vulnerable and you as the caster of Wind Siphon can perform an action. So you're going to basically pull them and then fit an auto plus Stormkata like I did there, and they can't reaction Aegis that, beads it, cast any sort of immunity ability, no matter how instant it is, because they're still under CC technically for 0.1 seconds. So this can pretty much be performed under any ping. Like even if you have relatively high ping, you'll probably be able to pull this off, because the way ping works is a little different with the servers. Like you'll just basically input this action before they land, and with ping delay it'll go through before they actually get out of CC. So yeah, that's the way to maximize the most damage out of that time when you pull them. So yeah, Tristan, do you want to talk about
Yeah.
keep this going?
Yeah, so we talked about how you can make the enemy vulnerable for 0.1 second for yourself. However, they can reaction out of it by leaping in that 0.5 seconds that you cast it. So like right here, I'm casting it, and he could easily get out if he had a leap or some sort of ability. We tested this very extensively. It's very difficult to do this in combat, of course. I mean, extensive fighting and stuff, it's going to be difficult. However, in the overlay, you can see that damage goes through before the pull, so many times you'll leap, and you won't get pulled, however, you will take the damage. But that's not really important because the damage is really awful, so there's not really any point to noting that. It's just an interesting tidbit.
Last hit with Wind Siphon.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if they have 60 health left, you might be able to kill them with it. Congratulations. But so another thing to note is that the pull brings the target in front of where you were standing when you casted it. So you can move afterwards and sort of circle around them. As you can see right here, I can sort of circle around them before they can really react and do that. And so you can dodge an auto or make it harder for yourself to like take damage, like what he just did to me. Yeah, good job. And so it's a useful little piece of information to try to help in those bot scene situations. And another thing to note for this ability is that you should pull them into your other teammates' abilities if you have a good team. You can obviously use comms to help relay this, but I mean, they're going to be to that exact location every single time. So if you have a Knots ability that you can throw down, or an Artemis trap, or a Janus portal, all sorts of things can CC them, and you can pull them in and help your team. So
yeah, it'll increase. I mean, like, it's kind of like lending an ability from another person's kit. It's like, hey, there's an Artemis trap here, I'll just stand on it and then pull them, and then they will appear where I was previously standing, or a little bit of in front. So yeah, you can just pull them into an Artemis trap, and you get a free cripple in your kit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because the pull isn't very useful on its own. Just, I mean, it doesn't do any damage, so you have to use it in creative ways, like in the middle of combos, or to keep them zoned and pull them into your teammates' abilities.
Yeah, it's really a dry ability on its own, but it's definitely still it's cohesive. It keeps the kit glued together in a sense. When you pull multiple targets, for example, like you're laning, for whatever reason, well, either you're playing Joust, or playing solo lane Susano, or you're covering a lane for one of your laners, what you need to know is that this ability basically prioritizes the closest target. So if they're standing in the minion wave, the enemy is, and they're behind minions, and you pull all the minions and the god, then you're going to auto attack a minion for the auto follow up. So you're going to basically press Wind Siphon, then hold on auto attack to get an auto off. But if there's a minion wave there, then you'll hit the minion if they're closest. But if you're a good Susano, then you'll just be waiting for the enemy to just poke his head out of the minion wave, and then just snatch him up and auto attack him. So yeah, don't ever like pull an enemy god while they're in the middle of a bunch of minions. Otherwise, if they're not the closest towards you, otherwise you're gonna get an auto off on a minion for the follow up, and it's gonna be terrible. So also something cool that I wanted to talk about with this ability for Susano is the new Reddit post that was actually, it was probably like maybe a month ago or more now, but it was basically this thing where the auto attack chain wouldn't get cancelled if you like, even if you cast an ability during the chain, if you let the animation go completely through. So basically Susano's auto attack chain is 1.5. So what you can do is you can auto twice, and then let the animation go down, and then Wind Siphon into a 1.5 attack. And we'll show that on the overlay, but it's really it's difficult, and it's not very rewarding. So it's really not anything but a trick shot. But it might be cool to finish somebody off with a 1.5 auto attack after Wind Siphon without breaking your basic attack chain. It's pretty cool.
Do you think you'd be able to get off the 1.5 attack chain before they can actually Aegis it?
It depends. It might be a little too slow.
I mean, you can get a whole auto, and then also the beginning of Stormcutter, but that's also because you sort of cancel.
Yeah, those are much quicker. But no, I mean, it's really not that applicable. It's just something that people have been talking about, is that you can get that cool trick shot off where you get that 1.5, but it's nothing more than a trick shot for the most part. I mean, if the enemy laner sees you just like auto attacking twice on nothing, and then sees you pull, I think they're going to be a little suspicious.
You have to be in pull range as well, which is the same range that you can get hit. So.
But maybe use that as a mind trick. You just start randomly autoing the air, and then they start running away. It's like, oh god, he's going to pull me for a 1.5 auto. But I don't think we're at that point at the advanced Susano play yet. But
it's also very difficult to perform. We couldn't do it right here, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little, it's not really finicky, but it's something you have to practice. It's not really worth practicing.
The timing's difficult.
Yeah, so things to note about Susano's Wind Siphon is know that the enemy has a 0.1 second vulnerability where you can cast an auto attack plus the first bit of Storm Kata. It's nice to know the distance units and the width. Things like that. You never level it up. The mana goes down. So maybe if you're like in that situation in which you don't have enough mana to cast your ability, you just lower Wind Siphon by 5 mana and cast it and go for the last hit. But if that ever happens, please send us a video, and we will formally apologize for saying this ability is useless to level up. But yeah, that's our video on Susano's Wind Siphon. Again, we're Meta Science, and I'm Elliot.
I'm Tristan.
And we hope you enjoy.
Be on the lookout for other stuff, and please leave a comment if you have any suggestions or any questions on this video.
Yeah, you guys have been super supportive of our first 2 videos. It's really motivational, and we're gonna get the rest of his abilities and hopefully move on to Erlang Shen before he's released. We'll look him up in the PTS and get to testing, so keep tuned.
On a side note, there was a really cool viewer from Smite that gave us a really awesome image. I really like it.
Yeah, it's really cool. The guy's name is Zilby. You can find his guides on Smite or you can watch his Twitch. Both are really entertaining, so make sure to check that guy out. He like put the mad scientist in our meta science, which is nice, and he made kind of like an adaptation off of our original logo, which is really cool to see some of our viewers doing. It's nice to have the community give back to the content creator.
Yeah, it helps me to motivate me and want to be even more creative. So, thanks.
Yep, thanks, and look forward to our next videos.